I'm going to get us kicked off. We've got some lovely announcements, lots of really incredible things going on in the DFA network these days. I think, oh, someone's using a really big emoji. Thanks, Jane. Go ahead and keep signing in. Please join. If you're just joining us, please join us in the notes document, which is linked in the Blue Jeans chat. I'm going to start to go through some announcements about all of the amazing, wonderful things that are going on throughout the network. And then I'm going to turn it over to our lovely alumni board members, Alex.
It's a DFA alumni call because I was hoping that it would be more about like.
And if you could go ahead and everyone mute yourself, just in case other noise sort of pops up. We want to be able to let our lovely presenters hear themselves. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with some announcements. Thank you, everyone that is here right now. Love how populated this call is. We actually have another call coming up on Wednesday that you are all also invited to. Maybe some of you have already heard about it. Ross and Glory, your fellows, are going to be talking about how to do DFA from home. So they're going to be running through some really useful tools like Mural, which is an online sort of like whiteboard, post-it note collaboration tool, and other online tools that you guys can use to run projects remotely. It's really geared towards, I believe, studio leads. But if you're interested in jumping on a call with a bunch of other awesome DFAers to learn about how they're still thinking about getting their projects done, even though I believe 100% of the network is pretty much distributed across the country now and all in our separate homes and places. So if you're interested in joining that, go ahead and shoot me a Slack or an email. My email's right there, and I'll get you the invite just like you got the invite for today. Project registration. We're going to be opening up project registration soon. This is a really great tool for you guys to document no matter where you are or where you got in your projects if you're sort of putting a pause on your DFA projects for this term. Project registration is a really great tool that you can use to sort of document your work where you're at thus far, or where you're going to get by the end of the term. It's a Qualtrics form, and it helps you to sort of like wrap up your project and present everything in a nice way so that it can be a nice portfolio piece. And we want to know all of the great things that you are still accomplishing or that you accomplished this term in terms of your project. So keep an eye out for that link. We have a ton of amazing ways that you can connect with the network, especially now that maybe you're looking for some people to talk to, but besides your parents and your professors. One of the things that we've come up with recently is a pen pal program. If you're interested in getting connected, sending emails or handwritten letters or emails to other alumni or students, check out this link. It's a Google sign-up form. Tell us your preferences for who you want to get connected to, and we will connect you to some awesome people across the network. Always encouraging you to join the Student Network Slack. There's the link right there. There's some awesome conversations going on there that students are having about how they're dealing with this coronavirus thing, or how they're feeling, or how they're working on projects, or what projects they're working on in certain topics. So that's great. You could definitely join the Alumni and Friends Slack now. We're opening that up to you guys as soon-to-be alumni. This link right here, this top link, Alumni Plus Friends Slack, you can fill that out, but also we're going to ask you a little later on to fill out this thing we're calling the Alumni Survey, and that actually filters your information directly into signing up for Slack, if that's an option that you check in the survey. So you can click on either of those links to sign up for the Slack, but we're going to ask you to fill out the Alumni Survey anyway to tell us what you're thinking post-graduation, and that's a great way to sign up for the Slack as well as the Alumni newsletter as well. The Alumni and Friends Slack is really poppin'. It's even more poppin', especially than the Student Network Slack. We've got DFA Book Club going on. One of the alumni set up something called Donut that allows people to sort of like pen pals, but for like weekly networking. They're always organizing meetups. Every Thursday we have someone posting a Thursday Thoughts where they pose a question, and we've got like 20 people responding to that question. So definitely encourage you to join the Alumni and Friends Slack. Again, you can do that by filling out the alumni survey as well. Ross and Gloria have put together this amazing thing that we're calling the DFA Community Calendar, and that's sort of a Google Calendar that's a collection of a lot of these ways that we're hoping to connect the network, and we've already started connecting the network. Some of the events on that calendar are Mural Mondays. Rasa is hosting office hours to answer all of your questions or help train you on Mural. If you don't know what Mural is, you should come to Mural Mondays and find out. There's a link also to their website. It's an online collaboration tool. Like I said earlier, it's kind of like a virtual whiteboard where you can move stuff around and collaborate with each other in a really visual way. And you can see a lot of the topics that he's sort of laid out for the next 4 Mondays, but you're welcome to pop on at any time and just chat with him about Mural. He's our resident Mural expert. DFA Wednesdays starting April 9th. Alden is starting to organize these weekly webinars that we're going to have that are hosted by some of the amazing alumni that you might meet tonight or the other friends and partners that we have in the network. And that's going to be a weekly webinar series on Wednesday evenings starting April 9th. And then we also have what we in the office call Rito Thursdays. Rito is for no reason at all, just a shortening of the word burrito. When we were physically in the office, we would eat burritos during this time and just hang out as an office. So if you want to hang out with us, as we probably don't eat burritos anymore, but we'll be on Zoom, you're welcome to chat and hang out with us and anyone else that wants to hang out with us and eat their lunches on Thursdays. Again, click on the DFA community calendar, add that to your Google Calendar, and all of these events are listed out in there with their appropriate ways of RSVPing. Some of you might have read in an earlier newsletter that there's actually not going to be a summit this year. For those of you that haven't heard about Summit before, it's our annual gathering in August. Except this year, we decided to take advantage of the chaos around the world and reimagine if we can't come together as a network in August, why don't we bring the network to you guys through DFA Days of Summer? So we're sort of transforming this 3-day conference that usually happens in August into a virtual summer-long series of events. If you are at all interested in telling us what you're looking to see out of DFA summer programming, shoot me an email. We're in the middle of finalizing what that sort of looks like right now, and we would love to get your feedback as students in what kind of programming you want this summer from DFA and how you want to connect with the DFA network this summer. Something else we're also working on is a partnership with Mural itself. I mentioned Mural a lot in the last 5 minutes. If you are someone that's interested in learning more about Mural, or maybe you know someone in your studio that is really into these kind of online collaboration tools and you want to nominate them as someone that could help train your studio, you want to pass that on to them, go ahead and shoot me an email. We're going to talk about this alumni survey maybe at the end of the call. This alumni survey is our way of keeping track of all of the amazing things that you guys are doing, where you're moving, and what jobs you're getting or educational things are on your horizon after you graduate. And we're really excited to hear all about it. So please tell us your story, tell us what you're doing through the alumni survey, and that's how you can stay connected with the alumni network and sign up for all the opportunities that are soon to come. Any questions about any of those announcements? Sweet. All right. So I will go ahead and get us started with introductions. I think for introductions, just because there's so many lovely, lovely faces, we're just going to do myself and the leaders of this call, including any alumni that have joined to share their story. So I'll kick us off. My name is Kelly. I am a program coordinator here at DFA National, part of the small but mighty team. I've been with DFA National for almost 2 years now. I come from DFA WashU, where I studied architecture and computer science and was a studio lead there for pretty much my whole time in undergrad, and it was an absolute blast. Worked on a couple projects, and then I was a fellow, just like Gloria and Ross are now. And now I'm a program coordinator, still helping to bring you guys educational materials and support you in all of your DFA project and leadership dreams. So I'm going to pass it off to our wonderful hosts, Alex and Lucas. They can introduce themselves and then pass it off to any alumni that have joined us for the call as well. All right, take it away, you guys.
Good. Thank you, Kelly. Can you hear me now,
Yeah.
by the way? Awesome.
Yes, we can.
So, hey everyone, I'm Alex. I went to DFA Northwestern, where I was also a studio lead and led Summer Studio, which was a full-time DFA experience and probably one of the highlights of my DFA career. Since then, I've been working in Chicago as a designer and researcher at a company called LexTech, where we do a lot of employee-facing digital strategy and mobile app development. So most recently, I worked on a project that is like a chat messaging platform for hospital CEOs, and it's now connecting 5,000 CEOs throughout the country. It's been really cool to see that come together. And beyond that, been a Chicago ambassador, so planned a lot of potlucks and different events in the city here. And then now I am working as one of the alumni board members, which you'll hear about in a little bit. Thanks for joining, and I'll pass it off to Lucas.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. Can you just give me a thumbs up if you can hear me? Cool. Awesome. So I'm Lucas O'Brien. I am a graduate of UIUC, University of Illinois, in Urbana-Champaign. I was in DFA from my sophomore year through my senior year, was a studio lead there. I was also a DFA intern, I believe in the summer of 2017, helping to scope out the theme for Summit that year. It was a blast, loved it. And since graduating, I've actually stayed in Urbana-Champaign. I'm working for the Design Center on campus here, the Siebel Center for Design, as a design strategist. Lots of design in the name there. I do 50% curriculum development stuff, thinking about how we can incorporate human-centered design into a variety of courses across campus, and then 50% kind of consulting type work with businesses, nonprofits, and also campus units. So keeps me busy. Did we want to pass it to some of the other alumni on the call to introduce themselves, or should we jump right into the presentation? Alex, Kelly, what do you think?
I would love to have the alumni introduce themselves.
Sweet. Raha, I'm throwing you up first.
Hello, I'm Raha. I am a graduate or alum from RPI and CMU, but I was also a part of the Brown RISD DFA in 2015 when I interned at Hasbro. I did a world of internships at IBM, Hasbro, Autodesk, and Arup. I ended up at Autodesk post grad school as a researcher for about a year, and now I work at JPMC, so JP Morgan Chase, as a design strategist, trying to understand the branch experience and how to improve it, especially for people who are either lower to mid-income or don't have access to financial services on a day-to-day basis. And I live in New York. I think that's everything. I saw Nora's on the call, so I'll bump into her.
Hello, I'm Nora. I am, I was in DFA at UIUC. I'm working as a software product designer at Oracle, specifically on this product called Moat that is like a bunch of ad analytics and verification platform. What else? I had written a little thing. Yeah, I wrote a little intro when Alex was talking to me, and I was just like, my quarantine free time, I've been riding bikes, doing sewing projects, and looking for Zoom social activities to do with my team.
Nice, thank you. Are there any other alumni on the call?
I'm here. This is Mark. I don't know
Mark.
if y'all see me. I am a Crew CIA grad, so I went to Case Western, graduated winter 2017, and then had kind of a winding path after being studio lead there with Connor and Lexi, who are folks that some people may know from the network as well. But I was doing a number of things and now ended up here in the Bay Area. I worked for a venture capital firm, so it was a bit of a pivot from my engineering undergrad, but now working with a lot of entrepreneurs and talking to a lot of folks. There's a little bit of design involved, but maybe not as much as I would like, but certainly an interesting time, and getting kind of deeper and deeper into the alum network here. There are a lot of cool folks from DFA stationed out on the West Coast. So yeah, looking forward to be more involved in 2020.
Sweet, thank you, Mark. Any other alumni? Gloria and Ross, do you want to give a wave? In case anyone doesn't know, Gloria and Ross are your fellows. So in your last couple months here as a student, if you've got any questions at all about how to get involved in the alumni network, how to do design projects, how to take advantage of all of the amazing students and alumni all over the country and the world, they are your go-tos. But you can really ask anyone at DFA National, Ross, Glory, or myself. All right, Alex and Lucas, want to take it away?
Oh, sure. Thanks. And just so everyone knows, the reason why we've got a couple of alumni on the call is the DFA Alumni Network is constantly evolving. It's very volunteer driven. And so even though Lucas and I are both very involved, the cool thing about it is there's so many amazing things going on in the network that we're not aware of. So we wanted to invite other alumni in to kind of chime in if they've got anything else to add, just because everyone kind of has their own experience with the network. And before we go into talking more about the network and also doing a few designing your life activities, we wanted just to go a little bit more in depth of how people kind of approach life choices and how DFA can support that in just the design process in general and having these skills. So I'm going to let Nora give it back to Nora to talk a little bit more about, some choices she's made since graduation.
Yeah, I mean, I guess just as far as like the DFA Alumni Network's guidance, I think I found out about like kind of this alumni group at first, at the first, or one of the first Midwest meetups. I think I was there in like 2015 or 16, where we got to meet a bunch of people from other DFA studios. And I think the Design for America network, I was writing down a few different things about how it's kind of like helped me post grad. I think definitely like career advice. Like recently I posted something about like, oh, I'm thinking about going to design grad school, like who's been in design grad programs or who decided not to do a design grad program, and kind of got that like discussion going. I think it also is great because there's like channels with the where you can kind of find out about different roles that are being posted, or if you're like looking for a specific type of company. Like I know I was looking at social impact design like agencies after college. I was really like interested in applying to jobs there. So I was like, oh, does anyone know about different companies like that? And then I think just like getting connected with other designer or other people in your city who are kind of like-minded. Like I've moved a lot since graduation. I've been in like Austin, DC, New York, Chicago. So like I've been able to go on there and say like, oh, hey, like who here is in Chicago or who here is in DC? Like, do you know any design organizations there? Yeah. I also ended up finding one of my roommates to meet up in Chicago. Geneva, who was a fellow at DFA, her and I first met there, and we both ended up getting jobs and moving to New York around the same time, so we ended up moving together. So I think there's a wide variety of ways that I've kind of found help and enjoyed the DFA Alumni Network even after graduation.
Awesome.
Thanks, Nora. And then before we jump into some of the activities that we've got planned for today, one image that I always really like thinking about when it comes to designing your life is a sailboat, just because it's easy to come into some of these activities thinking, oh, like this will help me kind of figure out like, oh, the entire path, and I'll find that map of like exactly where I'm going to end up. And it's really much more kind of like finding your direction and kind of taking a direction for now and learning as you go. A lot of these activities are really about being curious with yourself, kind of learning a little bit more about what you might be wanting or how you might be feeling about something, and kind of figuring out, oh, maybe like this direction's a little bit too far north, but this direction's a little bit too far east. And like, yeah, it's all about navigating instead of necessarily knowing exactly where you're going to be ending up.
Cool. So we got a couple questions for you. We wanted to make this a fun and engaging webinar, not just us talking at you for an hour. So there are going to be some questions that we're hoping you all can answer. For those of you that have never heard of designing your life or don't know where that phrase comes from, that comes from a book that was written by two professors at Northwestern. It's applying the same mindsets, processes in human-centered design to career development and life goals and expectations. It's a pretty good read. You could read it pretty quickly if you weren't doing any activities, and there's a lot of great activities in there to kind of stimulate reflection and thinking about, what are you hoping to get out of the plethora of life experiences that you could live. So the first question that we wanted to ask you all and get you thinking about is, what does DFA mean to you currently? So right now as students, what role has DFA played in your own life? So I'll give you a couple, 30 seconds to think about it, and then I'd like to hear from maybe one or two people. All right. Anyone want to be the first person to participate?
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about kind of my experience with DFA so far. Hi, I'm Isabella. People call me Iggy. I go to WashU with Jane, and Kelly was at WashU too. Yeah, I guess a little bit about my experience there. I think it's been really foundational, I think, in my undergrad experience, just from a social aspect, thinking about working, but also spending time, spending leisure time with a lot of people who are very like-minded and also just as equally, compassionate, caring, So I've met a lot of really amazing people through DFA for sure, but I think the other end also, it's definitely changed my worldview about how I approach situations, how I think about, my interactions with other people. And yeah, it's made me interested in an area or in industry, I guess, that I previously had, no knowledge of or no exposure to. So yeah, super grateful for the organization.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing. Can we click to the next slide, Kelly, or whoever's controlling it? So the next question is kind of building on the first one. So whoever answers this one is actually going to have to answer both of them. But thinking about, you're transitioning into the next stage of your life. What role can DFA play as you graduate? So how is the role that DFA is currently playing going to evolve and alter once you've left school? So again, give you some time to think about it, and then love to hear from someone else. All right, giving you a little bit of time to think about it. Anyone else want to share how they think their relationship and what DFA means to them is going to change when they graduate? What are you kind of expecting?
I can go if nobody's feeling particularly inclined.
Go for it.
Okay, so I do agree with Isabel. I've met six of my very close friends in DFA. We started our studio together. But to me, DFA really means doing doing stuff properly or solving problems properly, because it just gives you the tools to find the actual root of a challenge and then overcome it in a meaningful way. And what's nice is it's general to any situation, whether you're a scientist or a software engineer. So for me, it's provided me with a really meaningful tool set. And then this kind of changes once you graduate, because you switch from the student to the mentor. So being able to take that tool set and distribute it to other people so they can help others is a really important thing. And that's something I kind of foresee or has already happened since I left leadership a year or two ago. So that's how it is in my view.
Thanks. Awesome. Thank you for sharing. We go to the next question. So this is thinking about a little bit different from the second one. The second one is how you might expect it to change once you graduate. What are unexpected or things that you would like to see that you might not expect from DFA? How would you like this relationship to evolve as you become alumni? Thinking about kind of what you're expecting, and then what would be amazing if it did happen. So I'll give you a little bit of time to think about it. All right. Anyone else want to share? All right, I'm going to call on Sarah. Ross just told me to put you on the spot, so you've been selected. Sarah, you're muted, so we can't hear you.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, thanks, Ross. I think I'm someone who struggles to I guess network if I'm not in the situation to where there's people already. So I think I loved going to DFA night out when I as a student. So I think more of those opportunities and getting connected to things like that through being an alum and being able to just be in a situation where I can talk to people. I think the Slack is also really cool, and I like that it sounds very active and full of opportunities.
Yeah, I totally understand where you're coming from. I think that networking can be one of the hardest things to do, and it's nice to know that there's this pre-selected group of amazing people that exist across the country that you can pretty immediately tap into once graduating and say hey, I don't know what I'm doing, or I have a question about this thing. Is this normal? Is this how I'm supposed to feel after graduating? And people will be yes, and this is how I navigated that. So I can assure you that is an immediate resource that you can start leaning into, which I've been extremely grateful for myself. So thank you for those of you that shared, and then for those of you that haven't, I hope that you take some time to think about these questions and start to kind of build what you want the network to be, because you are the network and you will be the ones that are shaping what the future of the alumni network of DFA looks like. So play an active role, contribute. Go to the next slide. In thinking about what the Alumni Network does and how we kind of define the scope and breadth of everything that happens, we have three pillars here with three catchy names, all C's. So the first one here is Connect. That's all about building community and relationships among alumni and friends. So this is, again, the networking element of it, but really because DFA is so much like a family, and there's some amazing people out there, a lot of amazing people that are part of the DFA network. It feels less networky to me and more really just like connecting with someone amazing that you just haven't come across with yet. So that's part of the connection. The second one here is coach. So as alumni, you've obviously had an experience with DFA on your own campuses. You have experiences to contribute, stories to share, professional connections perhaps to offer to specific DFA studio members, projects, coaching them along the way. They're going to stumble, feel uncomfortable in the same ways that you did when you were on projects, coaching them through that, reassuring them, making them feel comfortable as they go along. So coaching is a really, really awesome way to give back and to be a part of the network. And then the last one is contribute. So this is thinking about there's so much that this network can offer you. What are you going to put into it? Because it's really about what you put in is what you get out. So contributing can either be time, hosting meetups, serving on the board, or as an ambassador, or giving some sort of gift at the end of the year. There's a variety of ways to contribute, but it's essential that we have engaged alumni that are contributing to continue to build what is an amazing group of people across the country and across the world. We can go to the next slide. All right, Alex, you're up on these.
And so to kind of get us all thinking about those three different aspects of the DFA network and how we might all be involved, we're going to do another round of 3 questions. So take about 30 seconds, and then if someone wants to share what they've been thinking about, that would be great. Okay, so anyone have any thoughts on what role mentorship might play in their life and how they might want to be a mentor or be mentored?
I can go. I can say something on that.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Hello?
Mhm.
Okay, cool. So in terms of I've been in both positions. I've been a mentor to people people younger than me, and I'm also currently a mentee to certain designers. And I think the most important thing that I've learned from both those experiences is there is a time and a place to put input, because sometimes like as someone who's learning, I need to make those mistakes to actually learn, and it's better to make those mistakes sometimes than to be told ahead of time. So like, yeah, I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. There's different mentorship styles, and there's different times where different styles are appropriate, for sure. And then the next aspect of this is, what role does community play in your life, and how do you see this evolving in the next year, about next 5 years? So I'll give you all another 30 seconds to think about that, and then if someone, alumni or student, wants to say a few words about it. Anyone have any thoughts?
I can offer a thought on this. So I'm Anna. I'm a studio lead at University of Washington. And the idea of community within DFA, while I've been at the studio, has really been about making the campus smaller, and having a place to learn and grow. Obviously, that's kind of what it's there for. But I kind of expect the same now entering the job market, is to make the job market feel smaller. And, the people that I might interact with, maybe narrowing that scope a little bit, because it seems, the world of, professionals out there can feel really daunting. But just as, somebody moving onto a campus, it would be, I might expect like that kind of an experience as I move into job roles. As far as the next 5 years, that might transition into a more mentoring type of person who's learned from that experience 2 times, and now is going back and saying, hey, I remember what it was like for people who are overwhelmed, just as I was. So I could see that in the far future.
I think I really like that idea of making the world a little bit smaller. And yeah, like the DFA Alumni Network can definitely do a great job, as Lucas was talking about earlier, of, oh, does anyone know positions in this place? Or like, I'm going through this experience. Anyone have any advice for that? Definitely a good way to be vulnerable and learn from other people. And then the last question, we're going to use this word philanthropy instead of contribute, but feel free to use either word. But what role does philanthropy play in your life, and how do you see this evolving in the next year, next 5 years? So anyone want to share from that question? I can't see the list of people. Lucas, do you want to call on someone for this?
Yeah, I'm gonna call on Sneha.
Yeah, I think for me, like throughout college, like working on like DFA projects and being a part of other RSOs, it's been like a really cool way for me to like take my interests and my skills and like give back to the community. And I'm not gonna lie, that's like something I'm very afraid of losing after graduation, because like I might not necessarily work in a place that, does like focuses on social innovation and things like that. And so if there was a way that I could still continue being involved with it after graduation, that would be really cool. And I know like that might be possible through the DFA network. But it's just like I'm gonna really miss like being able to like work on projects. Because that's not necessarily something that I think like the DFA like alumni network does, but it'd be really cool if there was like kind of like some kind of like side project that was like for alumni, if that makes sense. And that'd be really exciting, because I think as we get older and we gain more skills from our jobs, we can like have even more of an impact.
Yeah, no, there aren't often like official projects by DFA Alumni Network, but like there's all the time people will like have an idea and then different alumni will get together to work on it. So definitely are ways to like stay involved with that. And I can say for me, like I have gone into a more corporate role for my first job than I ever expected to. And the Alumni Network has been a really great way to stay in touch with what kind of impact I might want to make long term, or even just understanding like, how do I weigh the skills I'm learning now compared to the fact that I'm working with a lot of airline clients that I don't necessarily feel passionate about, I think are really helping out the world. Thanks for sharing. And then from there, Lucas and I are going to just quickly talk a little bit more about the history of the Alumni Network and then give you a chance to have any questions. And then we've got a few like more designing your life heavy questions at the very end of this for you all to take home. So just a little backstory around the DFA Alumni Network. You might hear that it's only about 2 years old, and that's not necessarily true. It's just like the language that we're using and like the organization that we have behind it right now is about 2 years old. So actually in 2014, alumni Hannah Chung, Sarah Mazing, and Guy, but I don't know how to say, sorry if I mispronounced his last name, started something called, I guess it might have just been Alumni and Friends initially, but there was a first group of alumni who said, oh, we want to actually get back together, we want to stay in touch, and they had their own little reunion, I think at the same time as Summit in the summer. And then from there, DFA Collaborative really started in 2015, and that was, again, another volunteer effort by alumni who are excited about staying in touch with each other and continuing to build this network. And it was more of like a Facebook group and kind of someone there, someone here, doing their own thing. And then in 2018, DFA relaunched with an alumni board and having ambassadors. It was a little bit more structured to make sure that there were continuous events happening and people knew the right people to reach out to find others. Lucas, do you want to talk a little bit about the board?
Yes. So the board lines up with the three things that I talked about earlier. So the coach, connect, and contribute. And I just said them out of order than what was on the slides. But it's three people on the board right now, myself, Alex, and Devika, who was not able to be on the call today. And we each cover a different one of those three pillars. So I'm focusing on the contribute. Alex, you're focusing on, I don't know if you want to explain.
I've been really focused on connecting and making sure that people have the right avenues to go to know who are the alumni in my area, things like that. And Devika has been focused on building the mentorship program.
And it's been nice because we're not like just focusing on the one that our name is associated with. Devika's had a like super crazy week with everything, or like I guess past couple weeks with everything happening. So we're kind of stepping up and helping a little bit more with her pillar. So it's definitely not, don't just come to each one of us for one of those things. We'll be kind of interfacing across all of them, a team effort. So we are your alumni board. Feel free to message us literally about anything that you have questions about. We're both pretty responsive and should be able to help you kind of navigate as you transition into the network.
Yeah, so like whether it's a question about what the alumni network is like, life after college, or just, hey, like, do you know someone who can talk about this? Feel free to hit us up. And then another aspect of DFA leadership in the alumni network are our lovely ambassadors. And so ambassadors are people in different cities, as well as for the first time this year, we've got small cities, so focus more on remote programming. They're planning at least one event a quarter, really bringing people together, whether it's a more official speaker series or coffee chats or something like that, or just a casual potluck. Really has a wide range of events. And another thing I want to call out, so I actually was an ambassador at my first year out of college. It's a pretty lightweight role, and it can be as lightweight as you want it to be, especially if you already have other people, if there's other people in your area that you can work with. And really just the network has grown so much because of people stepping up and being willing to say, I can host a potluck a couple of times a year. Let's build community in my area. So thank you so much to all the ambassadors. And one last fun thing about being a volunteer for the Alumni Network is that you really get to help shape the future of the network. It's changing so much. And so you work very closely with DFA National, Alden in particular, and kind of figuring out, like, in the past few weeks, we had a few conversations about, we're working from home. A lot of our alumni's lives are very different right now. Like, what can we do to help be a better support for the Alumni Network? So in addition to whatever you're signed up for to do, it's always like that advice is always welcome in that community. Lucas, do you have anything to add to that?
No, that was really well explained.
And then another aspect, in addition to some of the more casual events that ambassadors run, DFA National will support DFA Alumni and Friends programs throughout the country. And we've had them in San Francisco, Seattle, New York, often partner with other design firms or other companies interested in the space. So here are a couple that have happened in the past few years. And here's another mix of building trust and design systems at Hillman in San Francisco. And then on the right, you see a DFA night out. So DFAers just getting together for a happy hour.
And these are organized. The nice thing is these are organized by both DFA National trying to get these things set up and partners that we already have established, but also alumni in the network that aren't formally in any role saying, I think it would be cool if DFA did something like this. So wherever you go off after graduation, remember that you can still bring DFA with you and have them be an active part of whatever company or organization that you end up working for. Always spread the love and joy of DFA and continue to welcome more people into this network.
And then one more aspect, it's changing a little bit this summer, but there's also alumni programming typically around the time of DFA Summit. It's now going to be DFA Days of Summer, but in addition to all the great programming that helps in bringing students together, DFA also does a lot of great work of bringing in speakers that would be of interest to alumni. So I know one thing that would be more similar to this is they've done industry webinar series before. And they did that at Summit as well. So they had people who are interested in civic or healthcare or technology could go, and it was a really small conversation with 5 pretty prolific speakers in that space. So a lot of great ways to meet other people through the network. And then
because this is something that's kind of the next evolution of what DFA is going to be, and we're dealing with kind of unprecedented times where we are right now, this could be whatever you want it to be. So if you have ideas about what you want DFA Days of Summer to end up being, please share those. There's not going to be a ton of opportunities that exist like this for you all to help shape something that's going to be a role in your development outside. DFA is the place to do that, the place to say, I want to see something like this happen. I would love to talk to someone who's doing something really, really cool in design, this niche that I've heard of. Can we get them connected in? Can we talk to them? DFA has the ability to pull people into this community and give you the opportunity to connect with them or participate in a perhaps quirky or really unique and special activity. So speak up, help shape this into what you want it to be. Because if you love it and you're interested in doing something, I guarantee that someone else in this network is as well.
And kind of going off on that, that can be anything from, say you want to even practice speaking, DFA would love to give you a voice to share out with the network. And you can get practice with that really early on in your career. At the same time, if there's someone you'd love to hear speak or a topic you'd really love to hear more about from experts, DFA Alumni Network, it's growing, and it's not just people who graduated last year. There's people in all different companies. There are also a bunch of advisors who tend to be a couple of decades farther into their career than most of us are, and just ask because a lot of things really happen and they're really amazing.
I'm super excited about this. I think it's going to be really cool.
Yeah, so please share your ideas.
And then the 2 ways that you can, so you might be like, oh, this is so awesome. How do I start contributing? How do I start participating? The 2 ways that you can do that, there is a alumni Slack workspace, which is awesome and super active, and people are always putting in a combination of fun, interesting, really cool things to quirky, just want to hear your thoughts, chime in. So participate in that Slack workspace. Whether it is just kind of taking in the information that's coming, the articles that get shared, the really cool work that alumni are doing out in the world, or starting some of those conversations yourself. Or I've personally direct messaged people because I didn't want to have the conversation in a channel, but said hey, you shared this really cool thing. Can we talk? And just set up a 30-minute Zoom chat with people before, just to hear about how they ended up where they're at. So it's a great opportunity to kind of lean in and get to know people who make up this big DFA family. And then the second part is the newsletter. So start reading those newsletters, keeping up to date with everything that's going on. I found that they have been extremely timely and always contain information that I actually care about. So I get like a ton of newsletters that I've signed up for a variety of places. And without fail, like every single thing that is in the alumni newsletter for DFA has been something that I am like, oh, like I actually care about that. And that is something that I would like to read. So I will either like read the articles that are being shared or, think a lot about the conversation that is being prompted to us via these newsletters. So I found a lot of value in both the Slack and the newsletter, and I highly encourage all of you to read those closely and participate in both. Alex, I don't know if you want to add anything there.
No, I want to
have a
give.
question.
Does anyone?
Oh,
Yeah,
never mind.
go for it.
Kelly answered it. Sorry. No, Kelly answered it. Oh, sorry.
I guess one last thing about the Slack that I know has come up a couple of times for anyone working on their portfolio right now, you can search portfolio in the Slack channel and get like dozens of alumni portfolios. So if you're looking for inspiration, that's also a great place to go. And I know we just threw a lot of information at you all. Does anyone have any questions, or do any alumni have anything that they want to add on to what we just went through?
Where do I sign
Well,
up?
if you do,
Oh, no, that was more of a joke. It didn't land.
For those of you that aren't checking out the chat, there's the link to the alumni survey in there, which is how you can sign up for all the different alumni opportunities, including the Slack as well as the newsletter.
and I'm looking, I see that we've got 5. Yes, before that, any other questions?
There's a question from Alana in the chat, and she asked, what's the best way to reach out to people? I'm particularly interested in guidance regarding my portfolio and career advice. My school's design department is really tiny. Yes, it is. I went there. So I sometimes feel like I'm lacking some of those skills that other schools have. So the best way to start with this is to reach out to alum and say, like, basically this, right? Like, hey, I'm working on my portfolio. I would love some feedback. And you can do this either in the Slack, post it in there and have a bunch of people answer, or you can find some people who are maybe alumni from RPI or in roles that you are interested in and reach out to them. Once you've kind of gotten your portfolio in a space where you feel comfortable, you can then actually start reaching out to people professionally and say like, hey, I'm working on my portfolio. What you do is really interesting. I want to learn what you do and show you some of my work as well. And that's a great way to network and also get your portfolio reviewed. Alana, if you want, I'm happy to talk to you. I'm Raha. I went to RPI. And there's a whole group of us that went to RPI that want to be happy to look at your portfolio, as well as other alumni who didn't go there. So you get some nice diversity in terms of feedback.
And I did not go to RPI, but the RPI alumni are awesome.
What can I
It's
say?
true. It's true. Every single RPI alum is stellar. One other idea that we are definitely highly considering for DFA Days of Summer is having regular portfolio reviews, just to get people together and share their portfolio and get feedback on their portfolio. University of Washington isn't on the Google form. Let me double check on that. You guys might be under a weird name because sometimes we call studios weird things in the DFA network. If you are interested in having portfolio reviews for DFA Days of Summer or anytime, feel free to put that in the chat or put it in the notes doc just so I can get a sense of like whether that's an idea you're interested in or not. There's a question from Isabella about, are there any DFA LinkedIn groups? I thought that we do have a LinkedIn group. We're actually in talks with LinkedIn right now to help sort of like rearrange how DFA gets listed and how you guys all list DFA on your LinkedIn accounts, because it's like, you know, you're part of Design for America. You want to celebrate that, but also you don't want to say that you technically work for, you know, Design for America in Chicago. You know, you want to take ownership over the work that you guys were actually doing. So we're working on that. For now, the best way to connect is by saying that you work for Design for America on your LinkedIn, and then joining the Slack. And we're working on better ways for connecting on LinkedIn.
I believe there is a LinkedIn group. I can't say I've ever used it, but I can find it and share it in the I'll see if
Nice.
it still exists, and I'll share it in the notes doc if it does.
Nice.
Slack is the most practical way to connect with people
Yeah.
I've found.
Yeah. I'll be honest, my undergrad also has a LinkedIn and a Facebook, and the Facebook is much more active despite the fact that no one uses Facebook anymore.
Right.
LinkedIn's group or team, whatever that function is not that great.
We've got a question. Will this link still be active after the call ends? I don't know how. I know how that works on Zoom, but I don't know how that works on BlueJeans. So I will figure that out for you and find some way to make it available, whether it's in a convenient text format or if it's a screenshot. We're going to figure it out.
I'm looking. I found the group on LinkedIn, and it seems to be Rebecca is the only one that's posted in a couple of months.
Yeah, I think we have that group, but it's pretty inactive. Tareen, what Google form are you talking about that UW isn't on?
The alumni survey one or the Slack one? I don't remember which one.
Is it a Qualtrics form? Is it a Google
No,
form?
it's just like the straight up Google form. Yeah, it's the one that links from the Qualtrics to the Slack like request.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead and fill out the alumni survey. That'll get you signed up to the alumni.
Yeah, I just put other for now for the Google
that
form.
works.
So.
Quick thing, it doesn't let us put a graduation year after 2020. I just put it like in my last name that I'm not graduating 2020. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, the alumni survey form is actually just for graduating alumni because we ask you a lot of questions about like where you're going to be after graduation, which you might not know quite yet. So go ahead and fill those out to the best of your ability, and we'll make sure that you're signed up on Slack. Cool. Well, we're right at time here. I really appreciate everyone's awesome questions and participation. Are there any other last minute questions about how to participate in the alumni network, how to reach out, why the Qualtrics form isn't working the way it should be?
I do have one last thing I want to plug. So Lucas and I were a little over ambitious in how much time we had. I'll send out the links to this presentation, and there are a few questions about work and life if you guys want to do a few more designing your life heavy activities. Honestly, those are better when you're taking your own time. And then the last thing there's also a few more designing your life resources in the notes. But lastly, we're going to do our second iteration of the DFA mentorship program. So that'll be open to all DFA juniors and seniors. You can see if you click on this link, I think it'll share through me sharing the Google Drive or the Google Slides. But if you want to sign up, it'll be pretty casual. It's a meeting about twice a month for 3 months. It can be longer than that, but if you're looking not just to meet alumni, but possibly to talk through a certain thing, whether it's professional development, personal development, kind of figuring out what you want your next steps to be in some way, it's a really great resource to build a stronger relationship with an alumni and kind of figure that all out.
Nice.
And if you don't want to do the formal mentorship program, but you do have a random question, feel free to message Alex or myself or Kelly or anyone else part of DFA National. We love talking to you all.
All right.
We have one more question from Brian that I think would be good to address. Is there a difference between the DFA Network Slack and the DFA Friends and Alumni Slack?
Yeah, the DFA Student Network Slack is just for students. The DFA Friends and Alumni Slack is for alumni. So we're inviting you all to the DFA Friends and Alumni Slack now that you're soon to be graduating. You're welcome to join that. So if you're looking to connect with students, go to the DFA Student Network Slack. The DFA Friends and Alumni Slack is where the alumni are.
I want to jump in on that too and say that the DFA Student Network Slack can be as active as the alumni Slack. So I encourage you to take back this community that you learn that you're about to be a part of as alumni. And before you become alumni, I encourage you to share out with the current DFA students that there is an alumni group that they can use to connect to current students across the network while they're still in school, so that they can start to build that community and carry it with them into the alumni Slack as well.
Cool. All right, fill out the alumni survey, join the Slack, get the newsletter, talk with people, tell us what you want from DFA Days of Summer, join the mentorship program, sign up for a DFA pen pal. There's like 5,000 different ways that you can get involved and talk to the people that you want to talk to in the network. And if you're confused, just ask. Be like, I didn't understand any of those opportunities. We're here to help. So thank you guys. Can we get a silent round of applause for Alex and Lucas and all of the other amazing alumni that joined us and also weren't able to join us this evening. I'm so excited for each of you guys to bring your own little DFA spark to the alumni network. If you thought that DFA in undergrad was amazing, like I can't wait for you to join the alumni network and see like all of the amazing people that are now like doing amazing things professionally and personally and like have the freedom to live their lives outside of school. It's very cool. So yeah, keep slacking, keep doing your work, stay healthy, please, social distance and be responsible, and join the alumni network.
And I just wanted to point out, like, the alumni that were on this call, like, they didn't have to be on this call. Like, it is a Monday night, and they could have totally, like, done their own thing, but, like, this network is so awesome that, like, people want to continuously be engaged. So, like, I think that that just speaks volumes and should really excite everyone on this call.
Yeah, thank you so much, Nora, Raha, and Mark.